Our next bill will be 5135 by myself, relating to health and safety, geoengineering. It establishes a license procedure for persons seeking to engage in geoengineering from DEM to protect the health, safety, environment of the state. It's a very complicated subject. From what I know about it, it has to deal with shooting aerosols into the air to create coolness and cloud cover. Some farmers use it for different crops. I'm not going to try to get into it too much because I'm not the experts. I got experts here. My first witness will be Rachel McIntosh. Rachel, you there?
Yes, I am, sir.
How you doing?
Hey, good.
The floor's yours.
All right. Do I start talking now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Chairman Bennett. Thank you. My name is Rachel L. McIntosh. I'm a candidate for Lieutenant Governor. My professional backgrounds include defense contracting, visual arts, and writing. As a mother of 2 teenagers, I aim to ensure the healthy future for the next generation. In 2017, I sent my first rainwater sample to a lab and found geoengineering footprint substances in there. This led to me serving on the Geoengineering Study Commission and providing legislature to the Geoengineering Act, which is urgently needed to protect our health, environment, agriculture, coastal integrity, aviation safety, and economy. We might expect the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency to help in this regard. However, in reference to this insufficient EPA oversight, the Federal Weather Enterprise acknowledged in 2018, quote, continued but reduced attention is being paid to the effects of airborne toxins, ozone, and fine particulate matter on human health and the impact of air pollution on human health and sensitive ecosystems. Where the federal government lacks needed protections, states are authorized to provide their own regulatory action. And this is the purpose of the Geoengineering Act. Our Department of Environmental Management will review applications, collect fees for them, hold hearings, and make determinations on proposed geoengineering activities. With the support of state officials and members of the public, our state environmental police officers will carry out enforcement. Where unlicensed activity occurs, our DEM will collect fines into the trust fund set up for the purpose. H5135 proposes regulations to prohibit the intentional manipulation of the environment by hazardous means. The Act provides that a person seeking to engage in a geoengineering activity must meet health, safety, and environmental requirements in order to procure a license from the Director of the Department of Environmental Management for any such activity. In 2019, this esteemed committee received a letter from Mark Z. Jacobson, PhD, Stanford University professor of civil and environmental engineering, who has over 30 years' experience in publications examining the impacts of natural and human-emitted gases, particles, including from multiple transportation, energy, and artificial sources on climate, stratospheric ozone, urban air pollution, and human health. Professor Jacobson read our Rhode Island bill and enthusiastically commented, "I strongly support this goal to analyze and regulate any proposed geoengineering activity before it is put in place in the atmosphere or oceans because of the strong and widespread consequence of such activities and the fact that they do not solve atmospheric problems. They merely mask them for future generations to deal with while the underlying problem worsens." For 3 years, Brown University has provided courses on geoengineering and related topics. Thus, our Geoengineering Act is now overdue. So what is geoengineering? Quote, it's the intentional manipulation of the environment involving nuclear, biological, chemical, electromagnetic, and or other physical agent activities that affect changes to the Earth's atmosphere or surface. Geoengineering includes solar radiation management, SRM, and carbon dioxide removal, CDR, and other diverse activities. It may involve ground-based underwater and/or atmospheric activities such as cloud seeding and other deployments of chemical and physical agents by aircraft, rockets, unmanned aerial vehicles and drones, large balloons, wireless infrastructures, ships, and submarines. The first category, solar radiation management, includes but is not limited to stratospheric aerosol injection, such as solar shields, atmospheric sunscreens. Here, reflective materials are injected into the atmosphere by aircraft, sometimes by means of cloud seeding, with the intention of increasing clouds' reflectivity, or albedo. These materials then reflect heat both from above and below. The released materials often include aluminum oxide, sulfur dioxide, sulfuric acid, which then fall to the ground. Everyone agrees, from the EPA to the top professors to anti-air pollution activists, that these substances are harmful to living beings. And this is why the application process is laid out in the bill, requires that those wishing to engage in geoengineering activities specify that they do wish to do what they wish to do and with which substances, and most importantly, to show that the activities will not harm health or the environment. The second category, carbon capture and sequestration, CCS, involves capturing what is considered waste, CO2, depositing it in large storage sites, and sequestering it there. According to the Journal of CO2 Utilization, environmental impacts such as acidification and human toxicity are higher with this stuff than without the CCS. These can only be regarded as temporary solutions, particularly those options which merely delay the emissions of CO2 rather than eliminate them entirely. To protect against harmful geoengineering activities over Rhode Island, the bill requires a $1,000 application fee, proof of insurance and bonding, for violations, a fine of $500,000, and potential jail time. We can thus expect to see substantial income. A 2018 paper by recognized expert J. Marvin Herndon, Ph.D.
Rachel,
Yes.
we're going to ask you not to read. You can send us written material. It's been a long night, and we're trying to follow you, but with the reading, it makes it difficult.
Okay, I understand.
I know a lot of the people that are going to testify after you have also given us written statements. So, if you could just talk from yourself, don't read.
Yep. No.
And try to wind it up so
Okay,
we
I'll
can get to
wind
the
it
other
up.
witnesses.
Sure. The whole point is we're going to make people that want to be involved in the activity of geoengineering, of which there are multiple, it's across the planet they're doing this. They have to apply for a permit in the state of Rhode Island. And in doing so, they have to prove that what they're doing is safe. If they cannot get past the process to show that it's safe, then they can't do it. But I promise you they're going to do it anyway because these are huge programs. I wish I was there to show you. I've got an example. They've got plans laid out for up to the end of the century, how they're going to do this. The Federal Weather Enterprise is our own federal government's budget for this. It's billions, it's actually trillions of dollars that's put into that budget. And there's private companies all over the planet doing it, and there's no laws. There's not one law that prohibits it. So what we want is for there to be a process. We have proof that's happening here in Rhode Island. We have water samples, and I'm pro this. I was on the Geoengineering Study Commission. When I came onto it, I was just there to make sure that it was going to be legitimate information that came through. I ended up putting together 10 volumes of documentation, and that was just the tip of the iceberg. So I am pro this bill, very pro this bill.
Thank you very much, Rachel, for your testimony. It's real informative. Anybody have any questions? Seeing none, Rachel, thank you very much. You have a good night.
Okay, thank you, Rep. Bennett.
And our next witness will be Jen Sherman Bach. Jen, are you there?
I am. Good evening, Rep. Bennett.
Good evening. Jen, I noticed that you also sent us in written testimony. So
Yes, I
the committee is very capable of reading the testimony, so talk from yourself and try to be brief.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
As well as Rachel, I was also on the Geoengineering Study Commission prior to this current bill, and I'm very affected myself intellectually and physically by the issues that we're looking at here. I have sclerosis and a compromised immune system, and I was really horrified to learn that lead and aluminum and other heavy metals, or actually other metals that produce neurological malfunction, were being deliberately released into the atmosphere. And every living being ends up absorbing this. And I never consented to being poisoned. That's the one thing. Every living being is being poisoned by these substances. And especially for me with aluminum, that's a big deal for MS. And so my body absorbs that and can't let go of it. That there are peer-reviewed studies that notate that MS is a devastating and debilitating neurodegenerative disease. And it also says that, that there are genetic factors, there are environmental factors.
I have a few questions.
It's a huge issue for that. It is a huge issue for that. And so these absorbed heavy metals are very conductive. And so when they're in our bodies, we are more susceptible to man-made microwave radiation pollution, also the geoengineering for weather modification. It's an enormous suffering for people and animals alike. And as we learned with the COVID situation, our health and safety is most important. And I do support the passage of H5315. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Jen? Thank you, Jen. Oh, sorry, Representative Carson.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm not sure that this witness can answer this question. Maybe she can, but I would like to raise two questions for the committee to think about. One is, I'd be interested in knowing why we wouldn't tackle managing these chemicals under the Clean Air Act, which might be a strategy if those chemicals exist in the air. And the second thing is, I don't understand how we can control the air, because these chemicals could be released over Connecticut, and then the wind would blow east, and I don't understand how we can determine the source. Even if we did regulate this and set up an application process and the folks paid money, it could be blowing over from Ohio, as far as I know. So, just a couple things to think about on the committee.
Okay.
Yeah, Representative McIntosh says it should be a federal response. I think she's
Yeah,
probably right.
it should be, if that's what we need.
That's correct.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Jen, thank you very much. I'd like to also say there's no opposition to this bill. I know it's complicated, and Representative Carson raises a lot of legitimate thoughts and questions on this. Our next witness will be Angel Lopez. Complicated, and Angel, you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Angel, we have your written testimony, so try to limit your testimony to what you know yourself and not read.
Will do.
We will read your
Thank you.
testimony.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So, good evening. I'm Angel Lopez from Providence. I'm urging the passage of House Bill 5135 as a Pell Grant recipient. recipient that allowed me to graduate college, I do have to mention that in June 27th, 1972, Rhode Island's U.S. Congressman Claiborne Pell did announce a plan to ban worldwide weather modification due to the impacts of the Vietnam War, which covered Operation Popeye, which I mentioned there in my letter, and also Agent Orange and other chemicals that were used to attack the farmers and the crops. There's still folks here in the U.S. and in Vietnam suffering because of Agent Orange, and it's just one of the huge things that we can stop, whether they're blowing from Ohio or blowing from another state. We can at least control the chemicals that are flowing on top of our skies that we can see, and we have an opportunity here in this state to lead the way from freedom from these attacks. Our skies, the chemicals sprayed up there, they're going to fall down. It's going to contaminate our water supply. It's going to contaminate our lands. It's going to concentrate everywhere. And we just need to look into how we can stop this. We can start locally and push a federal ban. This bill is definitely a great start, and it seems like it funds itself. And we can use that to push bigger problems and also to mitigate the problems caused by, the current aerosols that are flowing through the air. I see it as a responsibility that we can take, and we can start right here from Rhode Island. And I'll end it there. You have the letter I wrote. Thank you for the time for allowing me to testify.
Thank you, Angel. Any questions? Thank you, Angel. See you none. Have a good night. Our next witness will be Wendy Fashion. Hi, Wendy, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Can you speak up?
You hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
Oh, okay, hold on. Okay. Hi, my name is Wendy Fashion. I'm a resident of East Greenwich. Thank you, Chairman Bennett and committee members, for taking my testimony. I'd like to speak this evening in favor for Bill number H5135, the Geoengineering Act. It's necessary for our survival. Why do I support the Geoengineering Act? Because, get this, trees are dying in my neighborhood, and the only explanation is exogenous, causes beyond our neighborhood. Trees play a critical role in stabilizing our climate naturally. They're the true guardians of the earth. They reduce surface and atmospheric temperatures. They filter pollution, sequester carbon, and transfer moisture into the air. When trees are lush and green, they produce the oxygen we breathe. Yet trees are dying. National Geographic reported on a detailed survey of the world's trees showing how the largest are vanishing with devastating habitat loss, overharvesting, deforestation, disease, and fires. Losing big trees means forests are less able to uptake and store carbon dioxide. And excuse me for reading something here, but I want you to hear this. In 1995, Charles E. Little, who was the head of Natural Resources Policy Research at the Library of Congress, wrote an article titled, "America's Trees Are Dying." This is back in 1995.
Wendy, don't read us an article, okay?
Okay, well, I just want to say...
This is testimony.
Okay.
It's not an educational class.
Well, I just want to say, trees are dying all around the country. Let me just say that. And geoengineering injections of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere create acid rain, destroying trees that have naturally managed Earth's climate for millions of years. Other geoengineering particulates fall and they contaminate the soil, which is also harming the trees. So all I want to say is that's why this is so critical, this bill. Critical to our survival. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wendy. Any questions for Wendy? Seeing none, thank you, Wendy. Have a good night. Our next witness is Sheila Reziger. Sheila, you there?
Yes.
Sheila, we have your written testimony, so just stick to the basics and try to be brief.
Yes, I will. Thank you, Chairman Bennett and committee members. I am definitely in support of H 5135, the Geoengineering Act, and I want to speak specifically about the animals that we share this planet with. The terrestrial animals are walking on the Earth and are picking up these particles that have been deposited from all of this atmospheric activity. They can ingest this, which causes illness or worse. It's also important to know that animals absorb more toxics than humans per their body size. It's not only the terrestrial animals, but also the aquatic animals, and we have to be concerned about the fisheries and the quality of the food that the fish that people are ingesting. The other part of the animal environment is the pollinators, and you know that without pollinators we would not have a food supply, so we have to be very careful about the pollutants that go into the air. So on behalf of all these living beings, I urge each of you to co-sponsor and pass H 5135.
Oh, thank you very much. Any questions for Sheila? Seeing none, thank you, Sheila. You have a great night. Our next witness is John Thompson. John, you there?
No, it's Reena.
Who is it?
Reena.
Ah, this is Reena Tomka. Reena, we have your
Correct.
written testimony, so try to stick to the basics and be brief.
Okay, thank you for listening to me and for having this hearing. I am testifying in support. Hold on, I had to move and turn a light on. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You
In
take your time.
support of House Bill 5135. My major concern going through is, as an environmental consultant and a biology teacher, when me and Rachel were talking about this and she was telling me about geoengineering, you know, I obviously want to go and find out if it's real. And so what I did is I went out and I sampled the rainwater just to see if the constituents are there. I submitted the laboratory results, and you can see the aluminum, the barium, the strontium, and the sulfur are all present. It's getting into our soil, it's getting into our food chain, it's getting into the water that my kids swim in. And anyways, I just urge it to pass so that we get the funding from applicants and violators to deal with the situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Rema? Thank you, Rema. You have a great night, huh?
You too. Bye.
Okay, now we have next witness, John Thompson. John, you there? Oops. Hi, John, you there?
Yes, I am. Good evening, Chair.
John, we have your written testimony, so try not to read from it and try to be brief.
I will do that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I just want to thank everyone for taking my testimony and hearing all of us out. I just wanted to direct towards the female chair that earlier she had addressed a federal response as opposed to a state response. And I wanted to touch upon that with, in order to tackle this as a federal response, we must first address this as a local and state level first, in order for this to prosper into a federal mandate or federal requirements. In lieu of climate change, I just want to touch on, like, we're all hearing everything as far as like climate change, and we never hear anything about geoengineering or weather modification or manipulation, which is kind of surprising to me. But this is such an extreme issue we're facing right now for the future of humanity, flora, and fauna. And I also think it'll be financially beneficial for Rhode Island if this does pass through, as this is a complete disruption to the circadian rhythm and natural frequency of all of humanity. And to touch on Sheila's statement, this also has been a grave effect, had a grave effect on bee population, and there's plenty of studies that have been done in lieu of that. So that's all I have to say, and I'm in favor of 5135.
Thank you very much, John. I agree with you on the pollinators. We need them. Without them, we're all dead.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions? Thank you, John. I don't see any questions. You have a safe night, okay?
You too, take care, Chair.
Our last witness is Diane Jolie or Jolie Diane. I don't know which one.
Jolie, I believe.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How's it going?
I'm doing good. Could you, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you so much. My name is Jolie Diane, and this testimony is in support of H5135. I would just first of all like to point out that current federal programs provide budgets that accommodate geoengineering for over the last 50 years. The Federal Weather Enterprise, the Global Weather Enterprise, the Paris Climate Agreement engages and promotes sulfur aerosol geoengineering. As an independent geoengineering researcher and advocate for environmental and human health, I have contracted laboratories for environmental water and snow sample analysis. The lab consistently finds standard geoengineering agents, aluminum, barium, strontium, and sulfur dioxide. Dispersing megatons of atmospheric contaminants ultimately to Earth's surface and waters must be banned, or else all biological life is threatened. H5135 regulates such activities, and we are very grateful to Representative Bennett for the introduction thereof. In substantiation of the deliberate releases of solid aerosol into the atmosphere, I'm giving a paper entitled "An Aerosol, Solid Aerosol in the Atmosphere." Geoengineering proponents actually acknowledge aluminum and sulfur aerosols and other contaminants and emit the human, animal, insect, and other damages caused thereby. Notably, the U.S. banned sulfur dioxide in diesel fuel in 2010 because it causes asthma in children and produces acid rain. So EPA standards banning sulfur dioxide remain intact to this day, and such release is illegal under federal law. Yet this continues in violation thereof, so kindly review EPA's sulfur dioxide regulations submitted herewith. Federal law gives rise to Rhode Island's strength in regulating as provided H5135, and also see the National Academy of Sciences 2019 report, Air Pollution Recognized as Major Source of Mortality in the United States for at least 25 years. Federal and international efforts to fund geoengineering have suppressed the U.S. states from exercising input in protecting their own human health and safety, natural resources, agriculture, aviation safety, and economic well-being. But H5135 provides a new opportunity and strength to reestablish state sovereignty in all these matters. So with gratitude to Representative Bennett, I urge you committee members to co-sponsor and pass H5135. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Any questions? Thank you. You have a good night. That concludes the hearing on H5135. Do I call for adjournment? We are adjourned.